Welcome to Prime News Updates. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay ahead with the latest breaking news.
INEC is biased. There's no basis to compress primaries at this point when campaign will still take a long time to start. So what's the rationale of forcing parties to finish their primaries by May, even when you have up to that many months to begin campaign? So what would they be doing? So I think if it was an error, it's a grievous error. I support that INEC should have extended the period from primaries, and that would enable the parties to be properly grounded. But it's what it is, and I think the parties do well to overcome that challenge of time. I'll make 3 key points. The first relates to what it means to be a member of a movement. The obedient movement, the Kwakwasiam movement, and now the OK movement. A movement suggests a direction. A direction in politics is often symbolized in a person. It doesn't mean that that person is perfect. It means that that person represents the core values of the direction or embodies his words or performance or profile where we want to get to. Since 2022 and 2023 election, the obedient movement has been constructed around the mission and the person of Mr. Peter Obi. And the reason is not paternalistic or just flimsy. The reason is that all significant change in history happens when an idea crystallizes and embodied by a group of people. So whether it's China, since 1978 under Deng. Deng was a member of the Communist Party. He is an old brigade. But when Mao died and the Gang of Four ruled briefly, Deng took over. But Deng was a man, even though he's of the old order, his heartbeat is for the new order. He had an idea of structural and systematic disruption. And that's why China made the call. So some of us who identify Mr. Peter Obi as the rallying point and the anchor, and I'll come to Dr. Senator Rabi later, is because even though he belongs to the political establishment, no doubt, he has been a governor twice, so obviously he's not as a newcomer like me or you. But we rightly see that he is the one whose pedigree can help us disrupt and reconstruct. Why I'm saying this, therefore, is that building on what Mayoga said, a member of a movement has to be strategic. And what that means that your first commitment is to achieve the cardinal mission of the movement. In this case, to get this team elected. Is that clear? You are not a good member of a movement if your primary objective is to get yourself elected. It's a movement with a vision of Nigeria and all history. In Japan, the same happened. In Korea, with General Park, people came around, ran around him, and they knew that if he gets there, he will change the country. That's how it works. That has always worked, and that's how it will work. So my first message is that if you want to win and achieve the vision, first be very clear that your first central mission is to elect these two into office. Then your secondary mission is perhaps to get yourself elected together with them. You will be failing if you succeed in B and miss in A. You will fail. The movement succeeds when the people who symbolize them are elected. The second point that flows from this is that that's the reason why we are all here together, for a better Nigeria. In 2007, when President Adua won election, and Mr. Ojo Madekwe was the secretary, and Alhaji, former senator, former general, what's his name, the chairman of PDP then, Amadu Ali was the chairman. I was part of those who conceived for them the first ever, maybe the only one, summit of elected candidates elected from House of Reps. The president was there, Jonathan was there, Obasanjo was there. And the key point for that summit is that to be elected is one thing, to know what to do is a different thing. The problem has always been that people smartly get themselves elected but don't know what to do to achieve that objective. And I spoke with our leader, Saraki Dixon, great man. I think the good thing this party has, he has a warrior who is tested in the militancy, in the environmental, in the human rights struggle in the Niger Delta, which I was a key member as one of the leading lawyers for Ken Saniwiwa. So I can attest to his understanding of strategy of warfare. But the party has told me that this party needs to be trained so that when they win, when we win election, we will govern well. And I think that's the point that this summit is all about. Is that it's a privilege to have the ticket of a political party. But more important is that it's an opportunity to advance the values and the goals of their party. We should learn from history. The collapse of PDP, so to say, is not because it's made up of vermins and demons. It was because the party was carried away by the euphoria of its power. And they forget that as a fundamental compact with the Nigerian people, that ultimately the people will judge whether the party has delivered for them. I remember how I struggled after PDP lost the election in 2015, and I told them, everybody, I said, start rebuilding, reconnect back to the people. Today, they are still in the position of power and office, and the disarray continues because they didn't use the opportunity of that failure to rebuild and recreate commitment back to the people. And so this party's vision of service to the people would not make any sense if we, the people who want to go and aspire and use the momentum, nothing wrong about it. Many people have come in, Oga has said it, maybe from APC, PDP. Yes, there's a momentum, everybody has a momentum. But the question is, what will you use that momentum to achieve? So my message this morning is that the party has agreed, and I hope they will do that, to put all of you into a crash program. Continuous education. Maybe 2-3 hours in a week, you go online and you will be taught some of the crises of development. So if you're going to National Assembly, you will be taught how you can work to generate laws that can solve those problems. The leader has assured me that Abuja School will play a role to help prepare the curriculum to make sure that before you win the election, you have got much more updated. You are all smart people with PhDs and with some of you are professors, engineers, but then there will be some training so that not just winning, NDC will achieve the mission of saving this country. And let's not forget, Nigerian voters are always flexible. They turn around. If they elect you, you don't perform, they swing to their end. So none of us have a privilege of continuous anointing to be in office. Every anointing expires 4 years. If you fail, the anointing will disappear and we'll look for somebody else to anoint. You're not carrying an eternal anointing. If you fail, the Spirit will leave you. The final point I would like to make is this, therefore. Politics is the art of the possible. What that means, it's not the science of the possible. What is possible is not empirically established. In 2023, I was going to run for governor. Tanko was here. maybe he tricked me, maybe. He tricked me. He said, oh, Oga said, please step down. For so I say, are you sure Oga said this? He said, yes. I tried to call Oga, the phone was not working. But because he has been a comrade, when I started the National Conscience Party with Chief Garufa with me, he was one of our leaders and he took over. I said, Tanko, you are my comrade. This guy will not win. He hasn't got the capacity. He doesn't popularity. All this so-called capacity, you bring a general in Nigeria retired has only his own security. He can't even commandeer the military. Everything I said was true. But I said, if you say, Oga say, I will. They failed. Now, why is that so? You see, leadership must go with loyalty. Many of you will be asked to maybe step down for another person. I will encourage you to step down. Elections, 4 years is not eternity. Biden has been a senator for 40-something years, but he was vice president to a young boy who has been a senator for less than 4 years. And he accepted to be vice president and was one of the most loyal vice presidents. After him, he was supposed to run for president. They said, don't run. Allow the Clintons to run. The Clintons ran and failed. Is that not correct? Then he ran. The later said, come and run again. They endorsed him. He ran, became president. Second time they say, you're too old, don't run. He did what? He agreed. You see, that's how an organized system works. We can't all run at the same time. You can't all run at the same time. Some will run first, some will come later. But those who come later may have a more glorious